What's good, people? It's your boy Twale here to bring you a chapter review for Kingdom 606 entitled Origins. Now, this chapter started off exactly where it ended with Ousen's army and Earl Rye's army marching forward, about to meet each other. Ousen's army has yet to get into formation, has yet to get into any type of tactical stance or any type of strategic stance. Earl Rye and his men are again using the Great Crane technique that Raboku taught him, and they begin to, you know what I'm saying, everybody's marching forward. Now, as Ousen's men are getting closer, Soo and Denrimi both are like, yo, what? Matter of fact, everybody on the battlefield was like, yo, what's going on? Like, they're just marching regular. Is he gonna try to do something at the end? Is he gonna just engage like this? Like, this is foolish, this, that, and the third. Fute again with the lip service, fan service. Oh, let's see what you can do, Ousen, this, that, and the third, against Raboku Sama's tactics. Then the Earl guy and Earl Rye and Ousen finally go head up. And everybody's expecting Ousen to get devastated because of what's been previously happened with the Raboku army. But no, Ousen breaks even. You see two Zhao guys, you see two Quinn guys fall, then you see two Zhao guys fall. And then Remy and Soo are like, yo, what's going on? Like, they're just walking into each other. How come Raboku's army is not using those complex tactics and maneuvers that they were using just a moment ago? And you can see, like, from the Zhao army perspective, that everybody is just like, they have like the dot, like they just have the dots, like everybody's just looking and they're not reacting. Like the same guy, I think it's the same guy, I don't think we got a name for him, but the same Zhao guy who was able to pinpoint the weak points and hard points in Darimi's snake formation was just standing there this time. He was just looking. And he was like, what do I do? So, they don't do anything. And it just continues to press forward. When one person falls, the next person steps up, takes their place, and they're breaking even. So, Raboku has a little panel of Ousen saying, oh, like, you know what I'm saying, he got that little shock look like Ousen. And then Earl Rye was like, I bet, since they're not giving us anything to read, they're not using any tactics, there's nothing for us to read, or there's nothing for us to glean from their formation, we might as well go ahead and use our tactics. And then we shift over to Ousen. And Ousen's basically giving his men the breakdown, like, yeah, Raboku is basically using instinctual battle tactics with his strategic mindset. Like kind of like what I said last week, how this Great Crane formation is a defensive, like it's an offensive strategy, it's an offensive formation according to Fute and them. It's an offensive oriented formation, but the structure of it is more defense because everything is reaction and counterattacking, reacting and countering. So it's truly a combination of instinctual and strategic battles, and way is strategic and instinctual combat mixed into one. That's what Ousen says. And he says that Raboku was able to do this because of the fight he had against Dukio 5 years ago. Now, I also, I'm not sure if Ousen knows this, but Kesha was also an instinctual type, and him and Raboku had battles, you know, they had many like mock battles against each other. So I'm not gonna say, while I do think a good portion of Raboku's strategy for countering instinctuals did come from his battle with Dukio, his time spent with Kesha also played a factor in how well Raboku was able to understand instinctual generals, because just knowing that your opponent was an instinctual general doesn't give you all the necessary know-hows, and like just because you know they're using instincts doesn't mean that you can replicate or teach those same instincts to another person, let alone an entire army. So I do think in the years after the Coalition arc and before the Kokyo Hill arc, Raboku actually got more help from Kesha in this regard, seeing as how Kesha was the Zao. Like Raboku said, he was the pinnacle of instincts when it came to the Zao army. So I do think Kesha helped him in that respect. But the second Earl Rai chose to go and use tactics and use actual like battle formations and things like that, he whipped out something that one of Ousen's HQ men called the Bell formation. And Ousen takes a quick look to the left, quick look to the right, focused on center, and said, "I see." And literally, next thing you know, you get a bunch of different units, getting orders from Raboku. A bunch of different units getting orders from Ousen about what their next move should be. He told one heavy infantry unit that he wanted them to turn around and flank the cavalry, and they're like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Don't worry, they'll be there." So, given how that exchange went, I think it's confirmed now that both Ousen and Raboku have the capabilities of being instinctual and strategical. Because Ousen himself mentions that he must give credit where credit is due, in that Raboku is a monster just like him. And for Ousen to be able to, well, I guess it could be just his high level of strategy, but no, because that's what we thought it was with the Zao guys, and it's not their level, it's not their strategic acuity, it's their instinctual acuity. So when he was able to look at Earl Rai's new battle formations and tactics and able to just look, alright, and then send off the correct orders to make the correct adjustments, that to me was more instinctual than, say, strategic. Because it didn't seem like he was telling them to, like, he just said hit everybody, hit the wings that are coming at you, hit them in the center. You know what I'm saying? And then he told specific units to do specific roles, and none of them understood. So it's not that Ousen's army isn't strategically aware of these things. He was using his instincts, kind of like how Shin was. Yo, just send Haru's unit over there. That's Gakurai's unit. Oh, nigga, send them, because you know what I'm saying? Like Shin couldn't quite pinpoint why he was doing this, whereas Ousen has more control over his instincts and is able to say, "Alright, yo, I need you to turn around, flank the cavalry. I need you go press the center of their flanks, and I need you to go press the center of the entire army." And it worked, because as soon as he did that, like that, instantly the Ousen main army started winning. Now, Raboku was sitting on top of the mountain watching all of this. So for him not to have a counter for this counter next chapter, I don't see that being very likely. Earl Rai, though, might be dead. And, well, not dead, but his army is done. The way the Ousen army had them looking, Dumb Boys is done after this. Every single engagement at both wings, the center, the flanking units that Earl Rai sent, all of them got. All of them. So hopefully with the insight on how Ousen was able to dominate this guy's army, and as he stated, well, he didn't state, well, let me back up a little bit. Earl Rai, just like how Ousen gave credit to Raboku for being an instinctual, strategical, dual type of monster, Earl Rai gave credit to Ousen for being able to figure out not the secret, but the nature, the nature of the formation itself is what led to the breaking down of the formation. Because once you realize that it's an instinctual formation, then you realize instincts need something to glean, need something to read. They need something to, how did Kesha pull it? They like Dukio needed something to catch fire, and if you deny him any places or any chances to catch fires or start fires, then Dukio couldn't do anything. And that's what kind of happened with the that's exactly what happened with with this chapter, because Ousen didn't have any formations for them to read and to to suss out with their instincts. Because like Ousen said, when a man goes to grab something, he moves his shoulders, and before that he moves his wrist, and before that the hips change, and like you can tell all of this from when you hit a certain level of instincts. And Ousen said martial might, so it seems like the warrior generals are always going to lead more towards instincts. But once you hit a certain pinnacle, you can discertain and like learn the well, I guess that's the title of the title of the chapter, Origins. You can learn the origins of the army's formations and the army's tactics and the army setup by just like instinctually viewing how the faces of your opponents, the way how fast their feet are moving, how loose their bodies are moving when they're, you know what I'm saying, getting into formation. You can tell all of that. So Earl Rye gives Ousen his credit, but then he's about to get swamped. Hopefully Din Remy and So-O, like hopefully So-O can get back to his 10,000 men, because he only had 1,000 men when he went to go attack the Zal for their little probe. So hopefully he can get back to his men. And now that he himself had a little epiphany about how quick the Zal's reaction was, and how this might not be tactics, but this, you know what I'm saying, like the way the speech was going, it seemed like he started to pick up on the fact that this could be instinctual. So hopefully when him and his girl get back to their men, they can start to put up more of a fight against Earl Co, because I think that's who they was going up against. Din Remy, I think, needs to pull all of his men out, reform everything, and then do what Ousen just did. Start off with no formations. No formation was the best formation. And then once they switch into an offensive counter, once they switch into their offensive formations, then Din Remy can counter with his, you know what I'm saying, super advanced strategic maneuvers. Because right now it wasn't working because they were so instinctual oriented. But now that they have to use strategies to go against your lack of strategy, boom, now you can go strategy to strategy. And so far it looks like Ousen's strategies beat Raboku's strategies. But it might not necessarily be fair, because this is Ousen himself against a Raboku deputy, as opposed to Din Remy and Earl Co, who are both deputies of their respective generals. So that battle might be a little bit closer and more even, in terms of, I don't see Din Remy just like completely changing the makeup of the battlefield, like of that battle in 5 pages. I don't see that. But I think it should be to a point where Din Remy, with a few extra men to like make up for the loss, like the differences that he already lost from So-O, can stall Earl Co, while the remainder of So-O and Ousen's core army attack Raboku's core army, waiting for Shin and them to pincer. I think that makes sense strategically. Give up some men to Din Remy so that they can get back to that 10K versus 10K. Ousen's army looks like it's gonna decimate Earl Rye's army, so use the remainder of your forces to bolster them, have them attack in whatever fashion they want to attack, and then have Shin and them flank, and then take Raboku out, or at least take out the bulk of his army. I guess that would be my prediction for the next couple chapters. The one thing I really didn't like about this chapter was the fact that Raboku was just Ousen. Oh, you read that? It was like Raboku, I don't know. Raboku was just like, he was too laid back after seeing his unbeatable formation just get beat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he watched it happen and didn't send a messenger, didn't do anything anything of note that we saw. So that to me is like, yo, the man's at your doorstep, do something. But other than that, it was a great chapter of Kingdom. Like, comment, and subscribe, people, and stay tuned for more. Peace.